Now, I've been ranking LEGO Star Wars sets for quite a while now, and I do have to say this is probably the hardest list I've ever had to make. And I know I've said that before, but genuinely, this was one of the hardest lists I've ever had to make. It took me hours and hours to put this together. Anyways, hello everyone. Today, I'm going to be giving you my ranking of every single LEGO Star Wars Revenge of the Sith set. Like I said, this list was very hard to put together because there are just so many good sets from this movie. So if your favorite set is towards the back of the list, don't be upset because that doesn't mean it's a bad set. It just means that there's just so many others that are a lot better. We have a total of 49 separate sets to get through, so if you're new, please consider subscribing. And without further ado, let's get on with the list. Coming in at the 49th spot, I have 75073 Vulture Droid Microfighter. This set was released in January of 2015 and retired in December of the same year. It has 77 pieces and retailed for $10 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $40 US. Now, I don't have much to say about this, it's just a little microfighter. I mean, it's a decent little build and it's cool that we get a battle droid pilot, but that's really all there is to say about it. Next up at the 48th spot, I have 7251 Darth Vader Transformation. This set was released in April of 2005 and retired in December of the same year. It has 53 pieces and retailed for $7 US, and if you want this set new today, it's actually going for around $100 to $150. And the reason for that is because all three of these minifigures technically are exclusive, and I say technically because this set was re-released as a Star Wars VIP Gala set in 2005. It's literally the same set but with different packaging, and it's worth thousands and thousands of dollars. So pretty much, yeah, these figures are exclusive and that's why it goes for so much, but I mean exclusivity is not getting it very far here because I don't think the build is very interesting. Next up at the 47th spot, I have 7257 Ultimate Lightsaber Duel. This set was also released in April 2005 and retired in December the same year. It has 282 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $500 to $600. And the reason it goes for so much, if I'm not mistaken, it's the only set to include Anakin and Obi-Wan with light-up lightsabers, with both of these figures being worth well over $100 on their own. However, again, exclusivity is just not doing much for me here. The build is just kind of ugly looking. I mean, it's cooler and more interesting than Darth Vader's transformation, however, it just doesn't look that great, and the play value is not as good as it seems because they do fall off of the sticks pretty easily. And then next up at the 46th spot, I have the reiteration of that set, being 75269 Duel on Mustafar. This set was released on January 1st of 2020 and retired in July of 2021. It has 208 pieces and retailed for $20 US, and if you want this set new today, it's going for around $40. Now, don't get me wrong, this set is definitely an upgrade from the set we just talked about, as there actually is lava shown and it sort of represents the fight a little bit better. However, still, it's just wonky looking and the play value is just not that great. I really wish LEGO would just go ahead and make a diorama set of this fight already. And then at the 45th spot, I have 75072 Arc 170 Starfighter Microfighter. This set was released in January of 2015 and retired in December the same year. It has 95 pieces and retailed for $10 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $40 US. And again, it's just a microfighter. I don't have a lot to say about it. Obviously, it's cool because it's an Arc 170 and it includes a clone pilot, but that's about all it has going for it. Coming in at the 44th spot, I have 7252 Droid Tri-Fighter. This set was released in April of 2005 and retired in December the same year. It has 148 pieces and retailed for $15 US, and if you want this set new today, it's going for around $100. This was the very first droid tri-fighter that LEGO ever made, and for 2005, they did a very good job. The only minifigure it has is a Buzz droid, if you'd even consider that a minifigure, but still, I think LEGO did a great job with the model. And now coming in at the 43rd spot, I have the most famous or most infamous microfighter ever made, being 75028 Clone Turbo Tank Microfighter. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in July of 2015. It has 96 pieces and retailed for $10 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $100 US. And obviously, as many of you guys know, the reason for that is because for almost 10 years, this was the only LEGO Star Wars set to include a modern plain white Phase 2 clone trooper. And then exactly 10 years later, in 2024, we're finally getting an upgraded version of a plain white Phase 2 clone trooper. However, to this day, this one is still exclusive, and a lot of people, me included, think it looks a lot better than the new ones coming out. But despite how famous this set is, it's still just a microfighter. The clone trooper is very nice, but that's literally all this set has going for it, and I'm not going to put it any higher on the list. Coming in at the number 42 spot, I have 75142 Homing Spider Droid. This set was released in January of 2016 and retired in July of 2017. It has 310 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $180 to $200. And honestly, I could not tell you why it's going for so much now. A lot of people really praise this set for some reason. I honestly don't really understand understand why. I own it. It's definitely a cool set, although I think it gets overhyped for some reason. It's just like the other spider droids, and I definitely don't think it's worth $200. Coming in at the 41st spot, I have 7255 General Grievous Chase. This set was released in April of 2005 and retired in December of the same year. It has 111 pieces and retailed for $20 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $300 to $400. And that's obviously because it has the exclusive Varactyl mold, and due to that, this is a very beloved set, and it's just a really cool scene, and I think for 2005, LEGO definitely did a great job. And now coming in at the 40th spot, I have A096 Emperor Palpatine's Shuttle. This set was released in June of 2010 and retired in December of 2011. It has 592 pieces and it retailed for $60 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200 US. Now don't get me wrong, this is a really cool set, and I know it sort of has a cult following, and I'm sorry to disappoint people by putting it so low on this list, but I do have to say this is kind of a sloppy looking build. It's pretty shaky and there's like an overwhelming amount of studs showing. It just doesn't look as good as it could have. Even for 2010, I don't think this set was up to par with the other sets that were released that year, but still it doesn't look terrible. It's definitely a cool ship. I just think LEGO could have done better. And coming in at the 39th spot, I have 75037 Battle on Seleucami. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 183 pieces and retailed for only $15 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $100 US. Now $15 for this set is an absolutely incredible deal, and obviously the most notable thing about it is that it includes the Commander Neo minifigure, which I do have to say is one of the best clone troopers LEGO has ever made. It's actually probably my personal favorite. The speeder is really cool as well, however the rest of the set is kind of give or take. It's just some battle droids and a barrier and then a stap, so that's the reason I didn't put it any higher on this. However, again, that Commander Neo minifigure is really awesome. Coming in at the 38th spot, I have 7250 Clone Scout Walker. This set was released in April of 2005 and retired in December of 2006. It has 108 pieces and retailed for $10 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $100 US. Now this is another set that's in my collection that I really like. I have like 3 of these things. Despite the walker being oversized like most LEGO ATRTs, I still just think it looks super cool and it's really nostalgic, and it includes, in my opinion, one of the most underrated variants of the classic Phase 2 clone troopers. Coming in at the number 37th spot, I have 6205 V-Wing Fighter. This set was released in January of 2006 and retired in December of 2007. It has 118 pieces and retailed for $10 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $100 US. Now V-Wings are some of my favorite starfighters in Star Wars, and for 2006 this was a great set, although today it's definitely a bit dated. That's why I didn't put it up higher on the list. However, again, back in the day it looked great, and today it's pretty nostalgic to me, and I really like the classic clone pilot figures. And coming in at the 36th spot, I have 7656 General Grievous Starfighter. This set was released in January of 2007 and retired in December of 2008. It has 232 pieces and retailed for $20 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $100 to $120. Now I personally think this set is pretty underrated. It was the first General Grievous Starfighter that LEGO had made. It's definitely not the best one, but for 2007, I think this was a great little starfighter and it still looks really cool today. Coming in at the 35th spot, I have 7258 Wookiee Attack. This set was released in April 2005 and retired in December of the same year. It has 366 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $300 to $400. And now you guys can probably see why I was saying that some of your favorite sets might be towards the back of the list, because this is a great set, although it's coming in at the 35th spot because there's just so many sets better than it. And I mean, for 2005, this was such a great deal. It really was almost like a precursor to the Super Battle Packs that we have today, except you actually got some really cool vehicles, although to this day, I still don't know why the tank droid is orange. If you know, let me know in the comments, but nevertheless, I still think the orange and blue looks really good, even though it's far from accurate, and just the set as a whole has a great value. On to the 34th spot, I have 75261 Clone Scout Walker 20th Anniversary Edition. This set was released in April of 2019 and retired in December of the same year. It has 250 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want the set new today, it's going for around $80. Now, out of the 5 20th Anniversary sets, this one is probably the most popular, because obviously it's a prequel set based off of Kashyyyk, but also because it's the one that included Darth Vader, and overall for $30 in 2019, I think this was a great value. Despite, again, the ATRT being oversized like all LEGO ATRTs are, it looks really good, and since it's oversized, they're able to add a lot of detail, and the other 2 side builds are a nice addition along with the Darth Vader. On to the 33rd spot, I have a a very underrated set in my opinion being A091 Republic Swamp Speeder. This set was released in January of 2010 and retired in December of 2011. It has 176 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $100 US. And so far as of now, this is the second and presumably the last minifigure scale Republic Swamp Speeder that LEGO has made. Yeah, we got these smaller ones in the battle packs, however this one is actually minifigure scale and it looks awesome. And on top of that, this was the last set to include a classic style Phase 2 clone trooper, because just 3 years later in 2013 we got the new modern helmets. And on top of that, you get Barriss Offee, 2 battle droids, a super battle droid. I mean, you could say that $30 was a bit overpriced in 2010, however I still think this set had a great value, and today I think it's very underrated and very overlooked. On to the 32nd spot, I have 7256 Jedi Starfighter and Vulture Droid. This set was released in February of 2005 and retired in December of 2006. It has 202 pieces and retailed for $20 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $180 to $200. Now, $20 for 2 full-scaled Starfighters was just such an incredible deal even for 2005. I mean, today this would probably be at least a $40 or $50 set, but the fact that we got Anakin's Jedi Interceptor and a really nice Vulture Droid for only $20 is just incredible. The only downside is that it doesn't include R2-D2, it just includes Anakin. However, that's not that big of a deal, it's still a great set. And coming in at the 31st spot, I have 7915 Imperial V-Wing Starfighter. This set was released in January of 2011 and retired in December of 2012. It has 139 pieces and retailed for only $20 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $80 US. Now, this is another one of those sets that sort of has a cult following, and for actually good reason this time. The model is definitely an upgrade from the 2006 version, even though it's a different color, and the minifigures are just awesome, especially that Imperial V-Wing pilot. He's one of the coolest and most unique pilot minifigures I've ever seen, and then again on top of that, the build is a huge upgrade and it looks awesome. Now, making our way into the top 30, at the 30th spot, I have 75041 Vulture Droid. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in December of the same year, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $160. Now, this is another set that I think is pretty underrated and definitely gets overlooked. It's easily the best Vulture Droid that LEGO has made, and on top of that, it comes with that really cool exclusive Neimoidian Warrior. Coming in at the 29th spot, I have 7671 ATAP Walker. This set was released in January of 2008 and retired in December of 2009. It has 392 pieces and retailed for only $40 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200. Now, for the longest time, this was actually my White Whale set. It always just made me super nostalgic and I always wanted it, and then I finally got it and it was everything I thought of it to be, although I can't let my bias get in the way too much because obviously it is the weakest ATAP that LEGO has made, and it's a bit strange that they included 2 shock troopers, although nevertheless they do look really awesome even though they don't really fit the set. And at the 28th spot, I have 75255 Yoda. This set was released in October of 2019 and retired in December of last year, 2022. It has 1,771 pieces and only retailed for $100 US, and since it just retired, if you want this set new today, it's only going for around $120. Now, I had a really hard time deciding where to put this on this list, but I think the 28th spot is the best fit for it. Out of the most recent buildable characters, I do have to say this one is probably the best. They really just did an amazing job capturing the shape and stature of Yoda, and how they actually got his cloak to look like it's actually flowing is really impressive. However, like most buildable characters, the eyes are a bit awkward looking. And now coming in at the 27th spot, I have a bit of a controversial pick, however, I don't care. I think this set is very overrated, and that is 9526 Palpatine's Arrest. This set was released in August of 2012 and retired in December of 2013. It has 645 pieces and retailed for $90 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $500 to $600. And the reason for that is because of all of those exclusive Jedi that are included, and that's also the only reason this set is so hyped up. I mean, yeah, it's cool that all 6 figures are exclusive and that it's the only set to include Agent Kolar. However, there were other sets that Sassy Tin came in, and Kit Fisto, and Palpatine, and Anakin, and Mace Windu, obviously. And not to mention, Anakin is the only figure in this set that even has leg printing. All the other figures do look pretty bland. I mean, again, don't get me wrong, it's awesome that we get all these figures in this set. However, I'm not one to hype up a whole entire $90 set just because of the minifigure lineup. The build has to play a role, and in my opinion, I think this build is kind of ugly. The only cool thing in my opinion is the airspeeder. The rest of the build just isn't very symmetrical or detailed. It doesn't look very good. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has a lot of cool play features, but it just doesn't look good as a whole. And I think it gets hyped up way too much, and the minifigures don't really make up for it in my opinion. However, again, the minifigures aren't bad, they're just not as good as everyone thinks thinks they are in my opinion. And I mean, they got the set to the 27th spot out of 49 sets, which I think is pretty good. However, I'm just not going to put it any higher. And on to the 26th spot, I have 7654 Droids Battle Pack. This set was released in January of 2007 and retired in July of 2008. It has 102 pieces and retailed for $10 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $90 to $100. And as most of you guys know, this is one of the best battle packs ever made, and it's also the only standalone Droids battle pack that we've ever gotten, and presumably the only one we're ever gonna have, considering that LEGO only includes battle droids and super battle packs from now on. But still, this set was incredible. It still is. You get 7 battle droids for only $10. I mean, that's probably one of the best army builders we've ever seen. However, it's still a battle pack, so I couldn't put it too high on this list. However, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing set. And now coming into the 25th spot, I have even another set that I think is pretty underrated, and that is 75044 Droid Tri-Fighter. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 262 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $180. And the reason it goes for so much is because of that exclusive Emperor Palpatine minifigure, who goes for northwards of $60 on his own, and then obviously the rest of the set is pretty awesome too. And like I said, this is another set that I think is underrated. It's just another set that constantly gets looked over. It's easily the best Droid Tri-Fighter that LEGO has made. I think the model is pretty much perfect, and on top of that, it includes 4 minifigures when a set like this usually probably would have just included 3. Up next at the 24th spot, I have 75040 General Grievous's wheel bike. This set was also released in January of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 261 pieces and retailed for $25 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $120 to $150. And like most of the 2014 sets, this one was really awesome. For only $25, you got a perfect wheel bike, and I mean perfect, it just looks incredible, and it's definitely an upgrade from the 2005 version, and it was also one of the only sets from 2014 to include General Grievous. And coming in at the 23rd spot, I have 7260 Wookiee Catamaran. This set was released in April of 2005 and retired in December of the same year. It has 376 pieces and retailed for $50 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $500 to $600. Now I'm probably sounding like a broken record at this point, but this is another set that I think is just very underrated. It gets overshadowed by a lot of the other Revenge of the Sith sets. However, I think this is probably a top 5 set that was released in 2005. The Wookiee Catamaran is such a unique build, and on top of that, you get a minifigure scale Swamp Speeder, and it also includes a very unique minifigure lineup with the 442nd Siege Troopers, as well as the light up Luminara Unduli, which is one of the reasons this set is so valuable. Up next at the 22nd spot, I have 75183 Darth Vader Transformation. This set was released in June of 2017 and retired in July of 2019. It has 282 pieces and retailed for $25 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $70. Now first of all, $25 for a set like this with 6 minifigures is just an incredible deal, and on top of that, I have to say this is one of the best play sets that we've ever seen. From being able to perfectly put Darth Vader's helmet on, to this knob on the side that makes the droids fly off like in the movie, this set is just so fun to play with, and on top of that, it actually looks good on display too. Like you guys know, I don't really prefer Star Wars sets that are supposed to be like the inside of buildings or terrain builds. That's why I didn't put Palpatine's arrest any higher. However, this one actually looks really good. It's perfectly symmetrical, and honestly, I'd even go so far to say that it's like a precursor to the diorama sets that we have today. And then coming in at the 21st spot, I have the very first clone battle pack ever released, being 7655 Clone Troopers Battle Pack. This set was released in January of 2007 and retired in July of 2008. It has 58 pieces and retailed for $10 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $120. Now I'm sure all of you guys know almost everything about this battle pack. This really is a fan favorite. It was released alongside the Droids battle pack that I talked about earlier, and we probably wouldn't even have clone or droid armies if these two sets weren't made. Getting 4 troopers for only $10 with a small speeder build was kind of just unheard of at the time, and this really is one of the sets that's a staple for LEGO Star Wars. Now making our way into the top 20, at the 20th spot, I have 75042 Droid Gunship. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 439 pieces and retailed for $50 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $160 US. Now this was the second droid gunship that LEGO had made. The first one came out in 2008, and I think it was definitely a significant upgrade. The build was amazing for 2014, and it still definitely holds up today, and on top of that, it has a pretty decent minifigure lineup. I honestly wish it would have just came with 2 battle droids and not the super battle droid. However, that's just a small nitpick on my part. I think this set is great. And coming in at the 19th spot, I have what is probably the most underrated set on this list in my opinion, opinion, which is 75039 V-Wing Starfighter. This set was also released in January of 2014, and then it retired in December of the same year. It has 201 pieces and retailed for $25 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $120 to $130. Now, I told you guys earlier that V-Wings are some of my favorite starfighters in Star Wars, and LEGO just really captured it perfectly here. It's definitely a significant upgrade from the 2006 version, I mean without a doubt, and it just has a lot of detail on the front, and the functionality of the wings rotating is really cool. However, the only small downside in my opinion is that the pilot doesn't have leg printing, which was definitely expected in 2014. However, if you look past that, it's a great set and a great starfighter. And coming in at the 18th spot, I have another droid gunship, being 75233 droid gunship. This set was released in January of 2019 and retired in December of the same year. It has 389 pieces and retailed for $50 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200. Now, this set came out only 5 years after the 2014 droid gunship. However, I think it's significantly better. That doesn't make the last one bad, that just makes this one a lot better. For one, they redesigned the head of the ship and it makes it look a lot more aggressive and more accurate, and I think the minifigure lineup is a bit more balanced as well, with 2 Kashyyyk battle droids and then Yoda and Chief Tarful. You could say this was released too soon after the last one, however, despite that, it is definitely a significant upgrade. And coming in at the 17th spot, I have one of the best battle packs ever made, being 75035 Kashyyyk Troopers. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in July of 2015. It has 99 pieces and retailed for $13 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $120 to $150. Now, it's no doubt that in 2014 and 2015, we got the best battle packs ever made, and this is one of them. It included, to this day, some of the best clone troopers that we have ever seen, despite it being released almost 10 years ago. The printing and detail on these guys is just absolutely incredible, and these scout troopers came with a new helmet mold that was much more accurate than the last one that came out in 2005, and it included 2 of each trooper, just making it a perfect army builder. The Swamp Speeder is decent. I'd say it's probably the worst Swamp Speeder LEGO has made, but again, it's a battle pack. It's not about the build, it's about army building, and this specific battle pack was so unique in 2014 that it actually sparked a new wave of a bunch of people making Kashyyyk mocks. Coming in at the 16th spot, I have 75038 Jedi Interceptor. This set was also released in January of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 223 pieces and retailed for $25 US, and if you want the set new today, it's currently going for around $100. Now, Jedi Interceptors are arguably one of, if not the most iconic vehicle to come out of Revenge of the Sith. They just have such an awesome and unique design, and LEGO has always captured that perfectly. I don't think LEGO has ever missed on a Jedi Interceptor set. Yes, most of the Jedi Interceptor builds are very similar, however, you can't deny that they all just look incredible, and that's what goes for this one. And ironically, speaking of them being so similar, I also have another Anakin's Jedi Interceptor at the 15th spot, being 75281 Anakin's Jedi Interceptor. This was the most recent one, being released in August of 2020 and retiring in December of 2021. It has 248 pieces and retailed for $30 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $70 to $100. And I mean, I had to put these back to back just because they're so similar. However, this one is obviously a little bit better. The most notable difference to me is that it actually uses gray pieces as the 2 cannons on the front, unlike the last one which used black Technic pieces. Now, coming in at the 14th spot, I have 75286 General Grievous' Starfighter. This set was released in August of 2020 and retired in December of 2021. It has 487 pieces and retailed for $80 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $130. Now, I know the price on this set was just absolutely terrible. There really was no excuse for it. It was released sort of at the peak of inflation in 2020, however, I still don't think that's a very good excuse. I think this set should have been no more than $60, however, for some reason it was $80. But if you look past the price, the set itself is actually really good. This is easily the best General Grievous Starfighter that LEGO has made, and on top of that, we had a nice minifigure selection and saw a new 212th Airborne Trooper. Coming in at the 13th spot, I have 75135 Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptor. This set was released in January of 2016 and retired in December of the same year. It has 215 pieces and retailed for $25 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $150. And I mean, as I've already said, you guys know I really like the Jedi Interceptors, and I put Obi-Wan's over Anakin's just because I like the red color a lot more than the yellow color, and also so far this is the only standalone set of Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptor that we've ever gotten, and on top of that, despite it releasing only 2 years after the 2014 Anakin's Jedi Interceptor, I think there are some significant upgrades. For one, there are a few more stickers which aren't great, however they do add a lot more detail, especially on the top side of the wing foils. Coming in at the 12th spot, I have one of the coolest sets ever made, which happens to be another Jedi Interceptor, which is 9494 Anakin's Jedi Interceptor. This set was released in January of 2012 and retired in December of 2016. It has 300 pieces and retailed for $40 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200. To this day, this is the only version of Anakin's green interceptor that we've ever gotten, but then on top of that, you get 5 minifigures with 3 of them being exclusive. And obviously the most notable one is that evil Anakin minifigure, which at the time was just one of the coolest figures ever made and honestly still is today, and it also included Nute Gunray, which is not a character that we see very often. And getting all this for only $40 in 2012 was just such an awesome deal, and the minifigure selection and just the minifigure details really does capture the scene perfectly. Coming in at the 11th spot, I have the only UCS set from this movie, being 10186 General Grievous. This set was released in May of 2008 and retired in December of the same year. It has 1,085 pieces and retailed for $90 US, and if you want this set new today, its value kind of does fluctuate, but generally it goes for around $400 to $500. Now this set has always just been so awesome to me. I really think it is one of the best buildable characters that we've ever gotten. It really just looks awesome on display. The way you can pose his arms and everything is just so unique. There are a few downsides. For one, it's very fragile, and his face looks kind of bland. It's not ugly or anything like the newer buildable characters' faces, however it just looks sort of bland, but regardless, the build as a whole just looks awesome, and I couldn't keep myself from putting it at the 11th spot. Now finally making our way into the top 10, at the number 10 spot I have the best battle pack ever made, being 75036 Utapau Troopers. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in July of 2015. It has 83 pieces and retailed for $13 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $100 to $120. Now I think without a doubt in my mind, this is the best battle pack that LEGO has ever given us, and also arguably it includes the best clone troopers they've ever given us as well. I think these specific 212 troopers really were the peak of clone troopers in 2014 and just the peak of LEGO clone troopers in general, and on top of that, the airborne troopers look incredible as well, and unlike most battle packs, the build is actually pretty cool. It's not just a crappy side build to complement the figures, it's actually an accurate tri-droid, and because of that, I think it's the best battle pack LEGO has ever made, and I definitely think it deserves to be in the top 10 of this list. Coming in at the number 9 spot, I have one of the rarest LEGO Star Wars sets ever made, being 7283 Ultimate Space Battle. This set was released in October of 2005 and retired only 2 months later in December of 2005. It has 567 pieces and retailed for only $50 US, and since this set was a Target exclusive that was only available for 2 months, its current value is around $800 to $1,000. Now hence the name, this set really was the ultimate space battle. For only $50, you got 5 starfighters that are all accurate and all look incredible. That being 2 Vulture droids, a tri-droid, and obviously Anakin and Obi-Wan Jedi Interceptors. And also up until 2016 when the Obi-Wan Jedi Interceptor that I just talked about released, this was the only other LEGO Star Wars set to include Obi-Wan Jedi Interceptor, and to this day it's still the only set to include a classic version of his Interceptor. Like you already saw, all of the other starfighters were available in other sets at the time, however at the time this was the only one to include Obi-Wan's, and that combined with it only being available at Target for 2 months is the reason it's so valuable and rare today, and the reason it's one of the best sets ever made. And next up at the 8th spot, I have 75151 Clone Turbo Tank. This set was released in June of 2016 and retired in December of 2017. It has 903 pieces and retailed for $110 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $400 to $500. Now this is by far the weakest turbo tank that LEGO has made, and the reason for that is because it's just so much smaller than the other two, and I think it could have included an extra clone trooper. However, besides that, the minifigures that are included are incredible, with Commander Gree, a scout trooper, and then most notably the 2 Jedi being Quinlan Vos and Luminar Unduli, and the model itself is very accurate and detailed. Despite it being way smaller than the other two, it still just looks good, and arguably you could say it's tied with what I have at the number 7 spot, which is the first turbo tank LEGO ever released, being 7261 Clone Turbo Tank. This set was released in April 2005 and retired in April 2006. It has 801 pieces and retailed for $90 US, and there are 2 versions of this set. One includes a light up Mace Windu figure and the other one just includes a normal Mace Windu figure, and if you want to buy the one that includes the normal Mace Windu figure, you're going to be looking at paying around $700, although if you want the one that includes the light up Mace Windu figure, you're going to be looking at paying northwards of $1,000. Now like I said, I think this set is basically tied with the turbo tank I just talked about, although I gave this one the upper edge just because it has a way better minifigure selection, including 4 clone troopers, 2 battle droids, and Mace Windu, and one of those clone troopers being the sought after classic Kashyyyk trooper, and again really the value, the minifigure selection is why I put it 1 spot higher. However, I think both of of the builds are equally good. And also, if you watched my top 10 episode 3 sets video that I released back in like August or July, I think, I actually put this set at the number 1 spot, but my opinions and just overall knowledge about these sets has changed so much since then that the top 10 is now drastically different, and that's why this set is now at the 7th spot. Coming in at the 6th spot, I have 75234 ATAP Walker. This set was released in January of 2019 and retired in December of 2020. It has 689 pieces and retailed for $60 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $200. Now, this is one of my favorite sets in my collection. I mean, like I said, the 2008 ATAP was my white whale, mainly just because it was nostalgic and I like ATAPs a lot, and obviously since this is a newer ATAP, I'm gonna like it too. I also think it has an incredible minifigure lineup with an updated Commander Gree, a Kashyyyk Trooper, Chewbacca, and 2 Kashyyyk battle droids, and a lot of people think this is the best ATAP LEGO has made. However, I think it's the second best, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is that the gun on the top is a little bit too bulky, and also the main problem with it to me is that it's a little bit too short, which definitely takes away from its accuracy a little bit. However, don't get me wrong, I still love this set. I mean, I put it at the number 6 spot. It's one of my favorite sets in my collection. However, if you're talking strictly in terms of accuracy, I don't think this is the most accurate ATAP, and that's because the gun on the top is a bit too bulky and it's just a little bit too short. Now, finally, making our way into the top 5, at the number 5 spot, I have 7259 ARC 170 Fighter. This set was released in March of 2005 and retired in December of 2006. It has 396 pieces and retailed for $40 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $300 to $400. Now, in my opinion, this was the best episode 3 set to release in 2005. That might be a bit of a hot take, but I really do think that's true. I think for 2005, this set was extremely modern. I'd even say it was ahead of its time. The build is just about as perfect as they could have gotten it, and on top of that, it actually includes 3 pilots to fill all 3 of the seats. Coming in at the number 4 spot, I have one of my favorite sets of all time, being 7661 Jedi Starfighter with Hyperdrive Booster Ring. This set was released in June of 2007 and retired in December of 2008. It has 575 pieces and retailed for $50 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $300. This is the only set to include Obi-Wan's blue Jedi Interceptor, and for 10 years, it was the only LEGO Star Wars Hyperdrive ring that we had ever gotten, and for 2007, this set just looked incredible, and it still does today. It's one of the most unique LEGO Star Wars sets ever made, and it's such an awesome display piece, and on top of that, LEGO decided to throw in Kit Fisto as part of the minifigure lineup when it really could have just included Obi-Wan. And coming in at the 3rd spot, I have one of the most famous and beloved sets ever made, being 8088 ARC 170 Starfighter. This set was released in January of 2010 and retired in July of 2012. It has 396 pieces and retailed for $60 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $300 to $400. Now, this was the second and so far the last ARC 170 that LEGO has released, and it came out only 5 years after the first one. However, it is just such a significant upgrade. I think they got every detail done perfectly. It's such a sleek and modern looking design. I'd say it easily would hold up today in 2023, although the only downside compared to the 2005 version is that it only includes 2 clone pilots instead of 3, and instead of a 3rd clone pilot, they decided to throw in Kit Fisto, which I thought was a bit unnecessary. It should have just included 3 clone pilots to fill all 3 of the seats. However, the build itself is leagues above the 2005 version, and I think it definitely deserves the number 3 spot. And now coming in at the number 2 spot, this might be a bit of a hot take, but I have 75043 ATAP. This set was released in January of 2014 and retired in December of 2015. It has 717 pieces and retailed for $60 US, and if you want this set new today, it's currently going for around $170 to $200. Now, I think this is the best ATAP that LEGO has ever made. Yes, even better than the 2019 version. And the reason for that is just simply the gun on top is a bit more sleek, and this model is just slightly taller than the 2019 version, which drastically saves it in terms of accuracy and captures the overall look of an ATAP so much better. Again, I love the 2019 model. I just think it's a little bit too short, and this one fixes that. It's a little bit taller, and it actually makes the gun face straight out instead of angled towards the ground a little bit, and it just overall makes it look so much more accurate and so much more appealing. And also, I'm not gonna lie, my bias towards ATAPs was really making me want to put this set at the number 1 spot, and I thought about this for a really long time, and I decided to not let my bias get in the way. So at the number 1 spot as the best LEGO Star Wars set from Revenge of the Sith, I have, you guessed it, 75337 ATTE Walker. This set was released in August of 2022 and has not retired yet. It has 1082 pieces and retails for $140. Now, like I said, I wanted to put the ATAP at the number 1 spot just because I like ATAPs. They're one of my favorite walkers. However, I could not deny the fact fact that this is by far the best ATTE LEGO has ever given us. In terms of accuracy, it's way more accurate to its source material than any of the ATAPs are, and on top of that, it includes 5 clone troopers, one of them being finally the Phase 2 Commander Cody. Now don't get me wrong, there are lots of controversies around these clone troopers, most of them I actually agree with, but to his their own with that, that's just my opinion. I can't deny that getting 4 clone troopers as well as 3 battle droids and a perfect model is just an amazing deal, and that's why this set had to be at the #1 spot. And finally guys, I'm done with this list. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below and what your favorite sets are from this movie, and if you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now.